Good afternoon, everyone. It's Tangi from Papercrafting Australia. Thank you so much for joining me for another tutorial. It's a really beautiful day outside, so sorry to keep you all in your craft rooms today, but hopefully you've got some nice fresh air and sunshine coming through your craft window like I do, and you're looking forward to getting in and making today's project. So today we are going to be making a mini zigzag album. So something that you can put some cute little photos in. It works perfectly for the 2x3 inch sprocket photos. So if you've got one of the little sprocket HP printers that prints little photos, they'll be the perfect size, and there's probably other models that do the same type of size, or you can obviously print out and then cut out and put paper printouts in as well. So it works really well. It'll come in handy for so many different projects or so many different gifts and things that you might want to give to people for different celebrations and reasons. So hopefully you are going to love this one. It might run a little bit longer today. It is a bit of a technical kind of thing to put together. There's lots of bits and pieces, but we'll see how far we get through. Welcome, Tony. Thanks for joining us again. Tony says to everybody, hello everyone. Hope you have all had a good week. Good to be here again. It's great to have you. I can also see we've got Em and Judy in on Facebook, the other social media stream. So we are, as I said, live on YouTube and Facebook. So if one starts glitching out, we can swap to the other, and also they record onto YouTube and Facebook for us. So you can always go back and rewatch the tutorials at a later date if you join us late or if you miss something. I've got all the measurements in the YouTube and Facebook descriptions for the videos. So hopefully I've got them all right and haven't had a typo. But I hope you're all keeping safe and well. We are very, very much COVID bound in Australia for at least the eastern seaboard at the moment. Most of us are locked down. So I hope this brings a little bit of respite from the boredom and dreariness of working from home and being locked down and only being allowed out for a short amount of time each day for exercise. But let's have a look what we're making. I'm just going to move around. Hi, Ollie. Thanks for joining us. Good to have you. So it doesn't look like much. This is our project for today. So I've just got some paper raffia to tie the little booklet together. But basically you'll see once you open it up, you've then got layers and layers and layers of pages that you can then use for your photos to pop them in as a little mini album. If you look at it from the top, this is where it gets its name from, because as you can see, it is a zigzag shape effect. So you will be able to, you can kind of look at things, you can lay it flat and open things up, go the other way. I've tucked in and created also for us today a couple of little pockets that we can, you can pop some little mementos or, ticket stubs from things or all kinds of little bits that you might have as a little bit of a gift. So you can tuck those in as well. So we're going to go through and I'll show you how to make the base of this. Obviously what you want to do after this is to decorate it however you like. So you can add embellishments. Great as a brag book, Ollie, you're absolutely correct. I have somebody in my family who is having a birthday next month. So the one that I make today is actually going to go to them. I'm going to fill that with some photos. And this one that I've made is actually going to go to a friend of mine who lives in South Australia and I haven't seen for a while. And I just want to share some beautiful little photos of us over our friendship time, which has been quite a number of years now. So not too bad. Finally getting around to putting something together. But yeah, it's a cute little project. And as I said, it might take us a little bit longer than our normal hour. So strap in. Otherwise, you can rewatch the tutorial later and fast forward or watch me in double speed and go from there. So I'm just going to pop that off to the side. And so I have got today, I've got the cardstock from our August kit. So I'm going to use the coastal colour as my base or the folder cover. And then I've got the colours, the other colours that we've got in the kit for the month. So Kaisercraft Sky. This one is Splash, Coastal and Blueberry. So you'll need some smallish bits of that. I'll go through the sizes after. I'm also going to use some of our 12 by 12 pattern paper that we got in the kit this month to decorate. So this is the Paper Rose. So Summer Days A is the first piece that I'm going to use. And I already have it up the right way. Retro Party A from the 12 by 12 inch sheet. So I'm going to cut a few pieces of those down to make all of those tiny little decorations and borders. I'm also going to intersperse that with a little bit of our watercolour paper. So this was from Dip Dye Basics. So as you can see, I've got some blues and sort of bluey greens left over. I'm going to use some double-sided tape, some liquid glue, thin liquid glue. I've got our birthday wishes sentiment. So if I get all that way to the end and I'm starting to embellish it and get it ready for gifting, I'll probably get to that point. I've got some of the ribbon that we had in our kits for the Crafternoon box for the month of August. So some of those, some of you might have some thinner ones, some of you might have slightly thicker, or you might have something else at home. So use whatever you've got. Also, you know, do what you like. I'm not sure that I'm going to end up with sequins on this one because it will be for a person who is not particularly fond of bling, but we'll see what happens with that. And I've got my tray of other bits. Some scissors, a bone folder. You're going to need a paper trimmer and also a scoreboard or something that you can score some cardstock with. So let's get started. What do we say? Em said she hasn't made a live in a while. Work's been super busy. Yeah, I'm sure it has. Jenny's here as well. Hi, Jenny. Marie's in. Diana, hello. And Sharon's here as well to moderate. Good on you, Mum. Thank you for coming. I hope you've got sunshine in Adelaide today. We certainly have here. It's all good. All right, I'm going to pop the pattern paper aside just for a moment and we'll get started on cutting and making the base of our cards. So the first, I've just covered up my dimensions, so that's really not helpful. The first bits I'm going to get you to cut and we'll put together are the covers. So just the folder cover. Now you will start to feel, as you start to make this, you'll think it's a little bit flimsy to start with, but by the time everything starts layering up, you'll start to feel it is going to be quite solid and it's going to hold things perfectly fine. So we are going to cut some cardstock down to, and this never fits in my trimmer that way, so I have to do it this way. We're going to cut it down, so 6 1/8 inch by 2 3/4 inches. So we've got 6 1/8 there. That's a quarter, Tangy, so don't go there. 6 1/8. Pop that away. And then we're going to cut 2 of these. So cut 2 at 2 3/4. That's my first one. There's my second. So that colour's good to go aside for the moment. Now I'm just going to switch this up and put, where did I put it before? My scoreboard. Just going to score these while we go. Otherwise you might get your measurements all a bit confused. So for your covers, so they should measure 6 1/8 inch long, which mine does. And then we're actually going to score both of them at 5 3/4. So you're really only taking off 3/8 of an inch in terms of where the fold is going to go. So there we go. 5 3/4 is our score line there. Doing that a bit kooky today. Awesome. And I'll just pop my scoreboard out of the way. Hopefully I don't kick it over and make everything go bang crash. And then we're just going to fold and burnish these quite strongly. And I'm going to do it in both directions just to really break the bond in that card, just so that it will become quite pliable. So score both of these. We haven't had anyone miss the measurements yet. I don't know if you can get to the descriptions while we're live, but you might be able to. So I've put the so these are the covers. All right, now once you've got those folded over, I'm just going to use some double-sided tape. This one's just the Couture Creations thin tape, and once I eventually find where the end is, there it is, I'm just going to tear off a piece of that. I'm going to pop it fairly close to the score line. I'm actually going to burnish that quite well. Now, I'm going to pop this one over the top of that, but I also want to put a little bit of tape as well on this side. So we're going to end up with almost double-sided tape. This is a bind that is going to get quite a bit of action with opening and closing. So I do want to make sure. So this part is going to line up with the blue bit that's not currently particularly covered along that edge of that join. All right, I'm going to take both of these. You are welcome to use liquid glue on this if you would prefer, or if it's all that you've got. It will still do exactly the same job. Okay, now I'm going to make sure that these are kind of flipped down because I want them to line up where they're supposed to in the finished product. It's going to get them to butt up against each other there and try and make sure that these panels hold together here as well, and then just get them to stick together. You want everything to line up nice and straight and neat. You don't want things all over the place. And then I'm just going to burnish over the top of those pieces of double-sided tape just so we've got a really good, firm bind on that spine for your little booklet. So once you've done that, that's basically your front cover done. Just got a couple of rough cut marks from my trimmer, so I'm just burnishing those so they flatten out a little bit and they're less obvious. Awesome. So you can use that any way you like. I like to put this little seam that we've made here, the kind of rough seam, I pop that to the back. It hides it off a little bit and it just means that it doesn't show on this, this top corner here. Everyone's reporting beautiful sunny days. I've been out for a walk today in the sun, so that's been a good thing for me already. Okay, so if we would like to dress up this cover, we'll work on the outside first. I'm going to take some of this beautiful pattern paper, which was from Summer Days A. That one. And I'm going to cut 2 sections again. We're going to eventually cut 3, but the other one's going to go on the inside. So for the moment, I'm just cutting the outside covers. So these ones are 5.5 inches long by 2.5 inches high. And I know I'll be able to get 2 of those out of one piece here. Now, because we've got a little bit of we've got a border kind of going on, and because I'm going to kind of make this all the way across, I'm going to cut from one edge. And I'm going to leave this one on my front bottom right corner. Okay, just like that. So we're going to cut this to 5.5 inches. So I'm going to flip that around so I can get to that part. It just depends on what pattern paper you're using. If you're not using this particular one or you want it to look a bit different, you know, do what suits you. It doesn't have to be a perfect replica of this one. This is just showing you the sizes and what we're going to, you know, how it's going to end up. Now, because I actually want my pattern to go all the way across, so we are going to cut a small quarter, what are we going to cut, 1/4 inch? Yeah. I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch sliver just to go on this spine. You don't have to, you can leave it blank. Cutting a 1/4 inch can be a nightmare. Actually, I'm going to flip it this way. And I'll cut, where are you there? 1, 2, that's normally my 1/4 inch. Just sheeting it back that way a little bit. It'll be close enough. So that little piece will slot in just there. And then I'm going to cut another piece that is 5.5 inches long to go on the back cover. Are you with me so far? How has everybody's week been? Has anyone had to go and have a test or do anything COVID related this week? I've been lucky not to, but we have just had some more exposure sites listed in Melton yesterday. So yeah, we're back on the lookout again. We haven't really been anywhere though, so it's not so bad. Okay, so I can flip all of these over and we can actually attach these to our base, the base covers. So again, double-sided tape or glue, totally your choice as to what you've got at hand, what you prefer. I have a massive bone to pick with Australia Post this week. Look, I appreciate that they are busy and I know that there's heavy restrictions, but the reason none of you have received shipping notifications for your September kits yet is because things that I ordered back on the 6th of August for those kits has still not arrived. I actually have 6 orders, 6 deliveries that are currently sitting somewhere in Australia with Australia Post and not being delivered. Oh, Tony, a horrible mammogram. Yeah, that does not sound like a fun week. Well, hopefully this can, bring your week to a better close than finishing off with a mammogram. Fingers crossed everything is all clear for you. Hopefully it's just a routine checkup. So yeah, so getting back to Australia Post, still just waiting. And of course I got 3 deliveries this morning. One was a care package that my friend from Adelaide sent me, pretty much around the 6th of August. That one finally arrived. She said thankfully it wasn't perishable goods. So yeah, that was good. And the other 2, one was a calendar that I've bought for next year because one of my favourite Aussie artists, Pete Cromer, he has put out a calendar of his gorgeous artworks. I haven't even opened it yet to have a look at it. That's how busy I was this morning. But that arrived. But I was like, of all the things that I need to arrive, a care package, yep, that needed to arrive. It's a really great care package to have received. A calendar for next year that I can't use for, 4 months yet? Not really essential. Not something I needed, but all of my deliveries to send out kits to you guys, all still sitting in the ether. So I'm proposing that we will move the final August tutorial, which we were scheduled to do tomorrow. We'll move that to next week because even if I get deliveries on Monday of everything, the kits won't get packed and with the way Australia Post is going, they won't get to anybody by next weekend. So I'll move tomorrow's tutorial to next weekend and then we'll see where things are at with mailing and kit deliveries and see what happens with September. We will definitely do all of the tutorials. Don't panic that we'll miss out on things. We'll fit them in. I think October actually has an extra weekend in it, so if we have to shuffle back 2 weekends into September, we can fit one in October. So that's where we're kind of heading at the moment. So now I've got the front of the cover decked out, at least with patterned paper and nice little coloured spine. I could have used my blue ink to edge those and that might have hidden those little white edges of the paper a little bit nicer, but see how we go. I do have a little blue pen that I could also edge, which might be nice as well. So we'll move on to the insides, and I'm going to start here because I do need to get this ribbon glued down and get it really firmly attached before we kind of go hell for leather making the rest of it work. So I'm going to cut, now I think before I did about 10 inches, so 25 centimetres or so. Should be enough for you to then tie a little bow on the side. So if you cut 2 lots of 25 centimetres of ribbon or whatever you are using, you could also create a belly band if you wanted to. And it could be one that just closes this way, or you could do a long one that wraps around. So up to you. Obviously, if you're doing a belly band down here, you're not going to want to make that until such time as you've filled all of your pages in between and decorated and put in all your photos, because you won't know how tight to make that belly band yet. Okay, so I'm just going to get some liquid glue. I'm going to do approximately in the middle here. Whoops, the daisy. This is what happens when you have your glue laying down on its side. How's the vision today? Is it fuzzy again, or is it just my iPad that looks fuzzy? Oh, come on. Watch it all go. There we go. All right, I'll pop a little bit of glue just on there. Push my ribbon into it, just so it's really, really glued down. Just going to pop my acrylic block on there. Now, I just need to try and, I did do it in the middle so that I could really line this up fairly evenly. I may or may not have achieved that, because I'm kind of doing it off to the side. Let me just see. Pretty close, I think. Yeah. Maybe a millimetre or so out, but we're kind of there. There we go. Just squidged it down a little bit. Give that a little bit of a press down. And I'm just going to set this piece aside just while those pieces of glue dry, and then we'll come back and decorate the cover, and then the rest of what we're about to make is going to then sit in this side, so there'll be plenty to put over this, make it all pretty. All right, so pop that aside. Now let's get making the zigzags from the middle. So for the zigzags from the middle, how have I put my pieces? You're going to need, now these aren't cut down, these are just scraps that I had off other things that I was cutting, but we're going to need to cut 7 pieces of cardstock that are 5.5 inches by 2.5 inches, and then we're going to score 6 of the 7. Okay, now I'm going to make mine, when I make my zigzag, I'm going to do it in a bit of a colour fade type pattern, so I'm going to put my darkest one at the back, and then I'll have 2 zigzags of the coastal, 2 zigzags of splash, and then 2 of sky. So that will be my 7 pieces that I'm going to do. You can do whatever colour you like. You can do all the same colour. It's totally up to you. But we're going to cut them all down first. So 5.5 by 2.5. Now I know that these are already 5.5. Just need to cut 2.5. Two and a half. Another one. That's my 4th one. Number 5. It definitely helps to have had some of mine pre-cut, but never fear, there's still plenty of paper to cut, so there's still going to be a lot of time used up in this tutorial. Don't be like, Tangy, you said this was going to go longer today. Yeah, it still will. All right. Now, I'm just going to pop this out of the way for the moment. Find a little spot. I'm going to bring back my scoreboard. So I've got 7 pieces measuring 5.5 by 2.5 inches. Sorry about the inches, Tony. I'm sure you're doing fine. All right, so there's my 7. Now, the one that you are going to use as the base, so this is going to be the start of your zigzag, but it is going to be fully secured, whoops, I've got that off camera, into the back of your cover. So it's actually what's going to anchor your zigzag there. You don't need to score that one. So if you're using all the same colors, just don't score one of them. If you're using different colors and you have a very specific order of cardstock that you want to flow through, whatever is going to be the back one, don't score that one. All the 6 others we need to score 1 inch in from one side or the other. So I'm just going to, for this one, it's at 4.5 inches because we've got a 5.5 inch piece of cardstock. Just score. You might see me flipping these. I'm just flipping them so that my the weave pattern is facing up. It's just my little preference. No real reason to it at the moment. Sing out if you've got any questions or anything's going too fast. 4.5. Okie dokie. Get my scoreboard out of the way just so I've got space to move. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm just going to bend them all each way, both ways, and burnish them quite firmly. Again, it's a part of the card mechanism that just means that it will it'll open and do its job a little bit easier if you've just burnished it quite a few times. And away we go. Kind of do a couple on each side and then bend it back. Do it the other way, bend it back again. The more use the book gets, the more it will start to move. But if you want to loosen it all up and then it doesn't pop open at people and things go flying. There we go. Not a complex card today. Got the replay to fall back on, Tony. Yeah, that's the beauty of it, isn't it? Always go back. It's also the scary part because when I say or do something stupid, it's there for a while. People can go back and find it. Oh dear. So we did some gardening work this week on the house. Well, when I say we, I ordered the stuff and Ben moved it. So we've got we had to fill quite a bit of our backyard is very unlevel, so we've had to kind of fill it with red scoria. So I ordered 4 cubic meters, and we're not finished yet, but I think there's a little bit much. So I might be in trouble for that one. It's okay. We'll be able to use it out the front. It'll just take up space out the back. Okay, so we're going to pop this together. And I've got mine in reverse order. So the ones that I want at the front of my zigzag are on the bottom of my pile. And we're going to start by fixing... No, we're not. We're going to leave that one just for the moment. But I am going to take my first one. I'm going to make sure that the score is on the score line is closest to the right hand side of my card. And that is just because when you zigzag these 7, this is the one that you're kind of going to grab first, and it's kind of the leader. If you had it the opposite way and you kind of grabbed something that was this, you're going to end up with bits flopping in the wrong order. So people will often just grab something from the right and go from there. Okay, so on the back of this section of cardstock, what's going to happen is I'm just going to flip this bit over and pop some adhesive glue on here. I'm going to fold that back over, and this is kind of the cheats way, I suppose, of doing it, is so that you don't have to kind of put the glue on and then you're trying to line it up and, you know, you kind of things are going crooked. Line it up first, hold everything together, fold this little flap back, keep everything where it's meant to be, and then apply your glue from there around my finger. And then when you fold that back over, everything's already lined up for you. Okay? So if you're one of those people, for ages, it was me. I was always that person that was like holding things up here and trying to get things to line up, and this just makes it so much easier. So I'm just letting that kind of adhere there. And so you can see that's the first of our little zigzags. Okay, then we just pop that back down, leave it where it is. You're going to take your next piece, and because we had the score line on the right hand end, this time we are going to have the score line on the left hand end. So again, take your whole piece. Now I'm going to flip it only because I'm right-handed and it just makes it easier for me to hold things with my left hand. Push that little one back. Apply my glue. Fold it over, give it a bit of a push. Acrylic block's the perfect size for that. Okay, and if I flip it back this way, that's where it should be sitting. So that was a left-hand fold. So again, we're getting a bit more of a zigzag. We've got a Z forming. Okay, so that was left-hand side. So the next piece that you're going to do is lining up the score line on the right-hand side. You all know how to do zigzags. And off we go. Yes, so Ben's got the scoria filling up some garden beds that we've got down the side near a retaining wall, and some of trying to level out the backyard. So once we've kind of done that, we'll clear the front yard of scoria so that we can then get some dirt delivered, and then we can put the dirt down in the backyard, and then maybe we can get some grass. At the moment it's just dirt. All right, so that was right hand side, so this one will be left hand side. I'm just going to rotate it so that I can hold it. Glue away. And we're making a letterbox this weekend, and by we I mean Ben is out there at the moment cutting wood, timber, to make a very special letterbox which has a planter on the roof of it. It's got a bit of a curved roof, not a curved roof, an angled roof. And then out the side of it there's a couple of little boxes to put some plants in. So I'll once we've finished it I'll put a photo up because I know I'm not doing justice explaining it. All right, so you can see everything is still staying even. We haven't got any wonky pages going up or down. Every now and again I do just want to go through and make sure that I haven't got anything that's gluing to itself, because sometimes, you know, a little bit of glue gets out the side and off it goes. Okay, second last piece, or the penultimate piece. So we're having a fancy letterbox. We'll see how we go. We still can't have our retaining walls installed in our front yard because the restrictions in Victoria means that our landscape fencer guy who is building them, they're not allowed to work on properties that are occupied without, they're not allowed to do it during the lockdown. So fingers crossed we can get ourselves organised and get the lockdown lifted sometime soon if everyone can just behave themselves. It's getting a bit tedious, but it's the right thing to do to stay the heck at home. All right, last piece going down. Kind of feels like a checkbook. It's not no checks going on here, but it's the thickness and the it's pretty much I would say, does anyone know how thick it, like how tall a checkbook would have been? It's definitely not as long as a checkbook, but it's starting to feel like a checkbook. Does that mean we're all about to come into some money? Hopefully, that would be good. All right, so now that I've got all 7 pieces all together, you can see definitely that the zigzag is there. I'll just pop my glue on lid on for the moment. Alrighty, so what we want to then do is you want to make sure that your little tab to start everything off is facing on the right hand side and the score line is on the left hand side. And this is where you will then insert that and glue it into your cover. Okay, so I've just flipped mine down. I'm going to glue this because I feel like, again, it's a little bit of a heavy use thing, and I just think sometimes the glue on the double-sided tapes just gets to a point at some point in its life where it just doesn't, if it gets too hot, it kind of lets go a little bit. Alrighty, just going to try and line this up with a roughly even border around it. And I'm just going to hold this one down for a little bit. Haven't seen a checkbook in years. No, me either. And money would be nice, Tony. Has anyone got a lotto ticket for tonight? What's the draw? What's the prize draw? I might have to buy one afterwards, and if we win, we'll all share. You gotta catch me first. Okay, so now that that's glued in, you can activate your little book. Oops. And pull it across, pull it back this way. Just make sure that all of your pieces are not glued to themselves, and that everything's functioning as it should. So then we've got inside cover. I want to decorate that. It'll also cover up this this piece of ribbon, so then it looks kind of like this end. It's nice and clean and professional looking. Looks like it was meant to happen that way. So I'm just going to cut one more piece of this patterned paper. And I'm going to go back to, what was the measurement? 5 and, oh no, that is, what? Oh yeah, 5.5 by 2.5. Gosh, I couldn't read my own writing for a second. Crash bang. 5.5. I do love this paper because it's just got so many little textures and little quirky bits in it, you know, bits and pieces. And then I'm just going to cut that tiny, tiny, tiny little bit, 1/4 inch, which I did from the other side before, didn't I? That one, 2. Just to put in this little gap in here. Pop you over there, and I can reach, and I can go back to using my double-sided tape for these bits. That's okay. They're not really going to get much use. Not like this side where it's going to get open and closed and manipulated a lot. But I can absolutely see these little albums just being so good for just anything, really. Anything that you want to kind of present, you know, a significant amount of, you know, might not be information, but, you know, putting little photos in. I could see it being a really cool, funky, I mean, I wish this stuff was around when I was a kid. I would have been able to do like little school projects. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh God, I could have had fun with that. Can I just have a do-over? Can I go back to primary school and have another crack at it? That would be great. I loved school projects. I know some people hated them, but if I had a chance to be arty in my classwork instead of just writing it on a piece of paper, all boring, I would jump at it every time. I had my handy little the lettering book that I used to spend hours and hours tracing and practicing all the letters and the writing styles, and, you know, doing bubble writing and block letters, and yeah, often find me sitting on my bedroom floor, you know, texters, pencils, paper, everything spread out around me. I'd have music on and I'd just be doing my thing. Can we go back? That would be great. Don't think that happens. It's not the way life rolls. But if I could, I'd go back. Alrighty, so that is the basic component of that little book. Got your little ability to tie your little, whoops-a-daisy, can't even do it now. Come here. Tie my little book up, and it's got, I can tie that nicer, but just showing you for just indicating its purpose. But I do actually have a couple of other little pieces that I want to put in this one. So one is the pockets. So we'll go through the dimensions of the pockets. Now the first one I'm going to put on the back of this first page here. So I'm going to do that in the sky colour, just so the pocket matches. Now to cut these ones, you will cut cardstock to 3.5 by 2.5 inches. So I know I don't need to fold out my arm on this one. So 3.5. And 2.5. Yep. And then I want another one just a little bit further back. Might pop it on this back one here actually. So I'll need another piece that is the right colour for coastal. So again, same dimensions, so 3.5 by 2.5. Okay, that's these guys here. Now you'll see I've been keeping some of these pieces that I've chopped off aside, and I'm going to use those to make my tags. So if you've got offcuts happening at the moment, keep them. They're going to come in handy really, really soon. I'm going to bring my scoreboard back. Okay, and we are going to score these ones on 3 sides of each. Okay, and we're going to score on the 2 short sides and the long side. And we're only going to score 1/2 inch in. Okay, so what that's going to do is it's going to cut this 3.5 section. Once you fold those tabs under, it'll bring it down to 2.5 inches, which is the width of this. Okay, where am I? 1/2 inch. I'll just show you. So that's the short side, that long side, and then the final short side. Okay, so I'll just do that on both. Short side, a long side, and a short side. So for those of you, if you're more inclined to want to know the measurements rather than count back from the end, so on your short sides you're scoring at 2 inches, and then the long side you're scoring at 3 inches. Okay. Once you've scored, those 3 sides, you're going to take the corners off on a diagonal. So you're just going to chop, you want to chop that little square off that you've made in that corner, and the same in this corner. Oops, nearly cut the wrong corner off. So just cut a diagonal. It doesn't need to be perfect, but don't be shy. Cut it all off. And then we're just going to burnish these little edges and fold them up. So if you're using the weave cardstock and you want the weave side facing out on your good side, then obviously you're going to score with the weave side up so that the proper score is underneath, and then it will fold over properly. So just keep your cardstock up the way you want it to present while you're scoring it. Alrighty. Now you don't need to burnish these in both directions. You really just need to burnish it over one way. And the reason that I wouldn't burnish it both ways is because if you actually do it the other way, you're going to kind of slim down the amount of depth that you will then have to slide things in, only ever so slightly. But on these pockets, you really you've only got a small margin of a small window to work in. So I'm just going to pop some double-sided tape around the very outside edges. So I'm going to go as close to the edge as I can. And it's okay to go over the little join. In fact, it's kind of encouraged to help hold it kind of down and together, and then you don't have any flaps popping up while you're trying to assemble. Okay. Just like that. I'll get this other one ready because why not? Alrighty. Close as we can. Cute project for many different occasions. You are correct, Sharon. Happy days. All right. Okay, so we're ready to go. I'll bring this back down. I'm going to peel off my backing paper, if it will allow me. Sometimes it needs a little bit more of a burnish. You can use liquid glue with this as well, whatever is your preference. Just don't get any liquid glue in the middle of here, because obviously otherwise you're going to stick your front of your pocket to your cardstock, and then you're not going to be able to slip anything into it. So just when we're putting it down, you want to put the closed end towards the end of your cardstock that's kind of flipping around. I could quite easily put a pocket in here. You know, it's kind of wherever you want it to go, but just kind of try and line it up to the ends and the top and bottom. Sometimes easier said than done. Just give it a bit of a push, and then what you'll find is that you'll be able to tuck cardstock or other little bits into that little pocket, and we're going to decorate that pocket in just a little while. And I'll go all the way back. So this one I'm going to put on this one here, and I'm going to pop it the reverse way, so back the other way. So this is the corner where we've got another card attached to it. So I just want to attach it onto that section there. Now you can put as much or as little embellishment on these pages as you like once you're done. So once the main structure is together, it's you know, it's up to you. You might not want to fill it up too much. You might not want to put a heap of pattern paper. You might be totally fine with just sticking your photos onto this and just writing. Totally up to you how you want to do it. Now tags. With your tags that go into these little pockets, or the items that go in, you don't want to make them any bigger than, say, 3.5 inches long by about 1 3/4 inches thick. I'll show you, oops, get this little guy out. What have we got? I'll cut this one down. So if we go to 1 3/4 and 3.5. Oh, that was not a clean cut, Tanya. Okay, so this is 1 3/4 by 3.5 inches, and you'll see in terms of the size, you want to still, even if you don't shove it all the way in, you kind of don't want to go too much longer. Otherwise, you're just kind of covering up anything that you've got here. But I would say you probably would like to put, you know, 2 tags in each of these pockets, because they are quite generous with the cardstock fold over. You could go maybe another 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch longer, but you know, you also do want to be able to get your hand in and, you know, be able to pull it out. So that's your tag size. If you want to then put patterned paper on that, I just normally take 1/4 inch off. So then you get 1/8 inch either side, or as a border around. So with that, 3 1/4 inch by 1.5 inch paper will be your friend. let's cut a couple more tags just so that we've got enough to fill our little album. So just those measurements again is 1 3/4. Keep forgetting where I've put it on the page. Down the bottom, 1 3/4 by 3.5. Jeepers, Tangy, get with it. Need to have a little drink is what I need. 3.5. All my little scraps going over there. Oops. There's a man down. There's a piece on the floor. It's okay. Great. So I've got my tags. So basically all of the cardstock pieces that you need, that album is now pretty much complete. It's just up to, oops, oh no. Oh, there we go. We saved it. It's got tape stuck to the front of it. So now it's up to decorating it. So there's in the example album, what I've done is just cut little slim sections for each of the kind of joiner bits. And then I've cut mats which are big enough to then have an 1/8 of an inch all the way around border if you are using the 2 by 3 inch sprockets or putting 2 by 3 inch photos in. So just bear those sizes in mind. You can cut a larger piece or a longer piece to go across, but you've just got to be mindful of where that fold line is. So for this one, I cut paper in continuous type sections, but for this one, I'm actually going to mix and match a whole lot of different pieces all over the joint. So I'm not going to go, not going to keep things too straight and similar. So I'm going to cut a couple. Oh, my guillotine back over here. So the sizes that you would need to cut for your mats, you're going to cut 3 1/4 by 2 1/2. 3 1/4 by 2 1/4 inch sections. So I'm just going to go here. That's my 3 1/4, and then I know I can cut a couple of them off here, so I might as well use a few of these. 3 1/4. That is not right, Tangy. I think I've just cut it 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. I have. What a wally. Right, well, we've got 2 1/4 by, let's go 3 1/4. That looks better. So that would then be, except for your front page, so for this one in here, have that bit there, and then you'll cut a little slim bit to go in there. We're going to need to cut quite a few. So let's count, because I haven't counted yet. You don't need that size for your back page. You don't need it for your pocket pages. So just for all the ones in between. So we're going to cut 1, 2. And these ones, if you wanted to, you could actually cut the longer panels. So we might do that and just cut the smaller ones for here. So I'm going to cut 1, 2, not that one, not that one because it's a pocket, 3, 4, 5. And cut 5 of those. Off we go. Oh, need my bigger trimmer for that. Whoops, a daisy. All right, so let's go 3 1/4. And we've got 2 1/4. How many did I say I need to cut? 5? 1. Already got 1. 3. 4. Did I say 5? Hopefully I said 5. Let me go back again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, good. All good. Happy days. All good. Alrighty, so to go next to that pattern paper, because this is where when you put a photo in, you're going to end up with like a little stripy border, so you're not going to see much of that pattern paper. So I'm going to grab some pieces just off the sides and around the border of this to do for my sling bits, just for a little bit of contrast. So the slims, for those ones, we're measuring 3/4 of an inch by 2 1/4. So I'm actually going to cut this 2 1/4 this way. And then with any luck, I can get a bunch of 3/4 of an inch pieces out of here. And the fun part is going to be getting a 3/4 of an inch part from here. I'm just going to trim this off. Trim that bit off, and I'm just going to use this and 1, 2, 3 to get 3/4 of an inch. Just doing a bit of a sheet. It's going from the other way. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. Oh, the letterbox building has commenced. There is definitely circular saw action going on in our garage right now. 1, 2, roughly, I think. There. This might just be just the right amount. That was well played. Good on me. Something worked out for a change. All right, tags, you can go over there. That's my dodgy bit. Cut the wrong size. All right, so do we glue? I'll glue. This might make it somewhat quicker. I don't know. Sometimes I think it's much the same gluing or using tape. Okie dokie. Stick that down in place. Just about on the hour, so I told you it was going to go long today. And I'll glue that little guy in place. Now you can mix and match your pattern papers up. It's totally fine. My next one's going to go in here. So anywhere where there's the panel that doesn't have the whole length free and it's got a fold line on it, you can keep doing, like I did it in my first one, even on the, like this is a long, like it doesn't have a fold here. So I could have just continued that piece of paper and had a slightly longer piece, which we'll measure out in a second when we go to do our other bits. You can keep that pattern going, or you can break it up with how I'm going to be making it in this project. That's the thing, every time I make a project, if I make it again, I change it up. I always find something that I think, oh, I prefer to do that a bit differently. All right, so those bits are hopefully sticking down and drying over there. Supposed to be doing their thing. I like this piece. It's helpful to just keep the album open while you're, using wet glue on these, just so that you don't accidentally glue a page to the next page just because you've got a little bit of glue that's poked out somewhere. Then if you've got a stand for their glue to hold it upright while you're working, I need to print myself one. I think it would be very handy. All right, so that's the ones on that side. So I'll go back this way. And these ones will be back to front, so they will have the the slim part on the left hand side and the main part for your photo backing on the right hand side. So just bear that in mind if you are cutting paper that's patterned and you want the pattern to match up, if you're that person, which I kind of did in the other album, just to see how complicated it was and see where the pinch points were about where you had to think and where you didn't. It's definitely when you go to do the back sides because it's reversed. So just trim your 3/4 inch piece off the left hand side instead of the right hand side. You do have to be awake and mindful if you're going to do something like that. There's that one, and then this one. Everyone's gone quiet on the chat. I'm pretty sure that means there's a lot of glue and hands and cutting paper going on, which is great. Should see lots of photos on the Facebook wall today. Once you've finished your projects, you can share what you've made. Whoops. Give it a bit of a push. Let's leave it open. Okay. So the next ones we can do, I'm going to do some out of the Dip Dye Basics patterned paper. So I'm going to mix a few bits and pieces up here. Now what I haven't done yet, so I didn't do it in my first one. Whoops, sorry for the loud noise. Was to measure these ones, which are, they are 4.5 by 2.5. So we're going to go 4.25 by 2.25. If you want to fully cover that panel and not have, you know, other stuff around. So if I get my guillotine will fit that just for a minute. I'm not going to fit that in there. Now, some of this I kind of want to get into where this pattern is and not kind of just chop it off and not use it. So we're going 2.25. There we go. By 4.25. Oops, I want that. Let's go that way. I am wasting a lot of paper today, guys, and I do apologise if that hurts anyone's feelings. There'll be other projects, and I've got lots of little projects that I can use that up for. I've got a card that I really do want to put into a tutorial, but we'll see how we go. Concentrating hard on the project, yeah. I think that's what's happening. All right. I want to do a piece that goes this way. Four and a quarter by 2.25. There we go. Did I? Oh no, that's the front one. I was just like, did I miss? I did miss, but that's deliberate. Cool. So they're the ones on that side. Now the covering here. So this one needs to be cut down 5.5 by 2.5 inches. So maybe we'll put another one of these darker ones in there. 2. No, it's not. It'll be 2.25. 2.25, and I reckon it'll be. I'm going to measure before I do this. What are we at? It's 2.5. So we need to do 2.25 by 4.25. Lucky I didn't do it. So same size, really. same size as these ones. It just looks deceptive. Okay. All right, so I have those in there. So I'm just going to, actually, while I'm doing this one, I'll cut the pocket cover. So for the pocket cover, we're going to go 1 3/4 by 2 1/4. I don't know if I've got 2 1/4 in this paper. Let's have a look. Maybe. Oh, it's already at 1 3/4. 2 1/4. Look, perfect. Ta-da! Happy days. All right, let's stick all these ones down while we've got them facing the right way on the project. Otherwise, before I know it, I've flipped myself around. Can't wait to see what you will do with your papers, because I know everyone's got, I know you don't make projects always out of the Crafternoon Box materials. You might find something and go, yeah, I really like these papers. I'm going to save them up for a project for something else though. And that's totally fine, because I save papers as well. I go, I really like that, but not for this week, not for this project. You've generally got someone in mind or some purpose in mind when you see a particular paper. And then you've got other stuff that sits in your stash for ages because you saved the paper because you went, I really like that paper and I really want to use it. But then the right occasion never comes up. Or does anyone have that paper where you've brought it because it's so pretty, but then you just never ever use it because it's like I can't find a project good enough to use it on? I have lots of those papers. I did use one set of paper last year that I had bought, knowing that it was like the prettiest paper and I never ever ever wanted to let it go. And I finally used it on a project, which I was very proud of myself for. Okay. But what's your paper? What's the paper that you've got that, what's on the paper that you've got? Mine, it was an old paper set. It's not that old, but a paper set that Stampin' Up! Had done. And it had, it was very much like the Monet's Water Lilies kind of style and vibe. And it had beautiful purples and blues and aqua greens in it. And I just was like, I fell in love with the colours and the style. And I never thought I was going to use it. So I'm glad that I did. And now I just want more of it to, I don't know, just have sitting in my stash. All right, so that's one side of that project done. Back the other way. So we've just got 2 on this side. So we cut 1, 2, 3 for that side and 2 on this. So it's 5 and 5 for the mix up. Good to know. Just marking down how many we're going to need to cut by 5. And these ones by 5. Good, happy days. All right, this side, we've already got that, so we're still going back into these pattern strips. I don't think I can use any of that from there. That one's a bit boring. Here we go. So again, 4 1/4 by 2 1/4. We're going on these ones. Perfect. 4 1/4. This one I'm going to cut. Oops, nearly put that somewhere that's already occupied. Right. Open that up. One there, one there. Job done. I wonder how Miss Reagan's going there. Our youngest crafter. Might need a little Skype call after this to help finish that off. She's probably doing really well. Okay. Glue you down. And this one, you can tell when I get past the hour mark because I run out of things to talk about. It's kind of making sure that we just finish it off properly. All quiet in the room today. Yes, I think there's lots of cutting and working going on in the background. And I've got to pop a little cover on this little panel here. That one, I think. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Just to cover up, just to jazz up my pocket a little bit. I mean, these are great projects to add. You know, I know we've all got little stashes of little sticker packs and things like that. So decorating these, once you put your photos down, of course, sticker packs, printing and cutting some small little, you know, words or sentiments will definitely jazz things up quite a bit. Now I'm just gonna, maybe I'll just leave these, I'm gonna leave these blank, but I am gonna just round the corners. I'm gonna do a couple with my large corner rounder. That one and that one. And they can go in a pocket together. And once I figure out what I'm going to put on them, and these ones I'll do with my little smaller one. I think the difference is they're like 5mm versus 10mm corner round. Wonder how Miss Tony's going. You think yours is good, Reagan? I reckon it's probably bloody good. Wonder if you've got somebody in mind that you're going to decorate it for and give it to. Got scraps everywhere today. Look at me go. All right, so I'll just tuck my little tags in there. Fold everything back the opposite way. And put them on top. Didn't mean to match my colours, but that's how it happened, so that's okay. So now all we've really got is this front page, which again you could use the long size, and then a slim to decorate. I'm going to leave this one blank because I actually want to put my I want to do a white greeting block, or actually I might be able to do maybe something like that on there where there's quite a bit of, you know, I can write on there. Let's do that. Let's just put my thing down. So this one again, it's a 4 1/4 by 2 1/4. It's just double checking because I'm never quite sure. 4 1/4 and 2 1/4. Put that one there. And then I've got a little bit of this that I can use for, maybe I can do, that'll already be the right size. 3/4 of an inch. Such a painful dimension to cut. Not a very interesting piece, that one, but I think I've got something in mind for, oops, crash, bang, bang. Had a toilet break and got lost, Tony. Oh no, I hope you don't mean you got lost going to the toilet. Lost coming back, got lost in the tutorial. Yeah. Oh, good. It's definitely replayable. All right, so this will be a panel. Now you can put the panel in here where if you want to write a whole lot of stuff or a greeting or a message, you can put it on any of those pages. You can put it on the very back one. Totally up to you. Convert it to any purpose that you need it for. That's what it's about. We have watercolor paper here. Just different colors. I mean, of course, it's going to look completely different once you put your photos in, because, you know, depending on what color is in your photos, you know, it may or may not sit against a particular background. So, you know, you might want to put it on this one, but then you go, oh, the color in that doesn't really match, but so I need to put it on, you know, this color. Totally up to you, but you can decorate each and every one of those pages as you see fit. And that's job done for today. So we did go a little bit longer, not too much, like not as much as I thought we were going to, but we are done. Go back to my other camera. So thank you so much for joining me for today. I hope it breaks up the boredom of lockdowns and gives you a great little project that you can whip out for any occasion. It's probably going to take an hour or an hour and a half to make, and then of course as much time as you like to decorate it. I know it's definitely going to take me a while to fight technology with my sprocket printer just to connect things up, but I'm also going to have to weed out how many photos I can fit in this album, and it's going to be a big job to choose the ones that I want to put in there. Then I've got to choose stickers and embellishments and all kinds of stuff. So it's going to be plenty of fun going through that. And it's definitely one of those projects where when you gift it to someone, they're going to really see how much work and thought went into it. It's not just a little, you know, folded card. Particularly, it's definitely not one that you bought from the supermarket. We don't do Hallmark. So I hope that it comes in handy. I'd love to see your projects even before you kind of put your photos in. I understand people don't want to share photos of other people or themselves on Facebook and social media. But if you can get it to the position where we've done to today, so you've got all your background colors in, take a couple of quick snaps and upload them to Facebook. We'd love to see what you've done. You know, tell us what you're going to do with it, or, you know, what purpose it's for. You know, it might be like people have said, it might be a brag book, it might be a new baby. You know, it might be a great little book to kind of track a photo each year in a child's life and give it to them on their 18th birthday, or it might just be something that, you know, is memories of you and your best friend, or all kinds of things. It might end up being a school project. Who knows? But thank you so much for joining me. Again, I apologise that we won't do tomorrow's tutorial. We'll move that to next week. I'll put a Facebook post up so that anyone who hasn't joined us might get that message and not jump in tomorrow. And I will get those September kits out to you all as soon as I can. As a result, I'm still a little bit uncertain about whether we're launching October on the 31st of this month or not. I've got the samples for October, so I can launch them. I just feel a little bit icky about launching that one when I haven't sent the previous month yet. So it's less about my ability to do it, and it's just more about just my emotional feelings about doing that. It doesn't feel right in business terms, but hopefully you guys all trust me enough that you know that it will come. We're just waiting on those deliveries to come through. So thank you again for joining me. I will see you all again next week. In the meantime, stay safe, look after yourselves, have fun crafting, and I look forward to seeing what you've done. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.